What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It with your host, Bando, and you already know what happens on this show. On Combat and Kick It, we talk all things combat, and we talk all things fight-related that happened this past weekend, and UFC 287 was this past weekend. I had the breakdown of it. Now we got to do the review of it, so let's jump right in. And Alex Pereira, and the hype was real, the buildup was real, this rivalry is as real as it gets. Now, for those who don't know the history, I've already explained it on the breakdown, so pop back and check it out. But these men got history, man, starting in kickboxing, leading all the way to here. Alex chased him over, you know the whole deal, and it's just been a huge story. It's been a fantastic story, and it's one that people will talk about for years to come, a rivalry that people will talk about for years to come, and I don't think it's over. Now, Israel Adesanya did get the best of Alex Pereira in this one, and we'll break that down here in a moment, but I don't think the story is over. I think the story's got more to go. I think there's more to do. I think there's a lot more for Alex Pereira still, and there's still more for Izzy too with this story. So we'll see what happens when it comes down to it. But UFC 287 was a damn good card, man. It really was. I enjoyed it a lot. Had some great fights on there. Had some unexpected victories on there. Some underdog wins and stuff like that. All my parlays missed. Nothing new. I'm pretty used to it by at this point. I tend to throw things down on parlays that are like, so rare that if they hit though, but it'll be worth it. You know what I mean? Throw $5 down on something crazy, you end up winning $1,200. It just, something like that. I shoot for the stars when I do this betting stuff. Try to make it easy and get the best of the best. That's just the attempt, but you never know how it goes. But I had a few good predictions. I was spot on with a few things. Going into the prelims, I had Joe Pyfer. I was real big on Joe Pyfer going into the prelims. He looked phenomenal. Surprising, I was not big on Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum looked sharp as hell on Saturday night with his boxing. Luana Pinheiro, arguably got gifted a decision against Karate Hottie. That fight could have went either way. I would have to watch that one back. But I did predict that one. Lupita Godinez beat Cynthia Calvillo. That was one of the ones that messed up my parlay. You had Bahamondes, who I expected. Another big name, another big prospect on the way up to keep an eye out for. 14-4, absolute savage in there. Won by decision against Trey Ogden. You had Sam Hughes. She looked like a savage in there, man. She was in very tough position that most people would tap from, and she stood her ground, man. She just went right through it and ended up winning the fight. That was a good win. It was a fun card, like I said. My fight of the night had to go to Kelvin Gastelum, Chris Curtis. They should have cut them checks immediately. That fight was awesome. It started off kind of slow, but looked like Kelvin was going to get the best of him. And he ended up getting the best of him. But Chris Curtis showed out in the second and third round, man. He was throwing a lot more. He was landing a lot more. But those dudes, you can put them in there 10 times, and I think fans will watch it all 10 times and be happy with it. I think you'll get a fight like that 9 times out of 10 with those two. Why does this keep going out? What the fuck? Why does this keep going out? The main card was pretty good. You had Raul Rosas Jr. ended up taking his first loss. Now, tough break for the 18-year-old kid, but at the same time, it's the fucking UFC's fault, man. You chuck this kid into the main card. You're pushing him, and yeah, he's speaking with confidence. And of course, you're seeing the people on Twitter, the people on Instagram, the haters are like, man, this kid out of his motherfucking mind and shit like that. And it's like, yeah, he's out of his mind a little bit, but he's speaking with the confidence. But at the same time, it's UFC's fault. They keep pushing this young kid so heavily, right? Now people are going to say he's a hype train and he got derailed. And I feel bad for the kid in a way because he's not a hype train and he didn't get derailed. He's somebody who shouldn't have been on the main card. And if he would have been on the prelims with this fight, it wouldn't have been that deep of a loss. It hit harder now because he's on the main card at 18 years old being thrown to the fucking wolves. Christian Rodriguez just looked like he was overall an older fighter. He's been in there more. He's done more. He has more octagon experience is exactly what I got out of that. Raul Rosas Jr. kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and it just wasn't there. The takedown wasn't there. The proper work on the ground that he was looking for was not there. Christian Rodriguez did a fantastic fantastic time defending every takedown. And sometimes you need a fight like that to better yourself. And a lot of people are still dogging this kid, saying that he's not good enough, he shouldn't be there. I don't know what it takes to be one of them guys, to be a professional fighter at that level. And I don't know what it takes for Dana White to see how he grabs an 18-year-old over anybody else in the world doing probably the same thing that Rosas Jr. is. But you got to take it slow with the kid, man. You got to take it slow with the kid. Let him get his feet wet. Don't throw him to the wolves right away. Put him on prelims. If you're going to put him on main cards, make sure they're fight nights. Just the fans are going to want to see him, but just give him the proper. I mean, I think they gave him a good fight with Christian Rodriguez. It's just main card slot is tough. It's very tough. And I couldn't imagine what that's like to be there at 18. He had the fans behind him, but it's still got to be very difficult at 18, especially when you start dealing with the adversity. Your takedowns aren't working. This kid's landing shots on you. You're getting tired now. The whole game changes. You had Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. That fight went... It didn't go exactly how I expected it. I expected Kevin to win, but I expected Kevin to piece him up. Kevin didn't seem like he could land many shots. I don't know if that was just me. Maybe I wasn't paying attention well enough or something like that. It just didn't seem like Kevin's shots were landing clean like they normally do. Maybe Ponzinibbio had better defense than I had expected. And it just did not seem like Kevin's shots were landing heavy. He had that backhand in the first round that dropped Ponzinibbio. That was nice. And then obviously he knocked him out in the third round. And I have no argument with the stoppage. That was pretty clear. When you fall face forward like that, we got to clear the air on that. When you fall face forward and you basically face plant like that, right? You're basically taking another shot on the canvas without getting hit. You just got hit with the knockout punch. You're dropping, you're hitting your head right down, smack onto the canvas, and then you're laying down in like curled up ball position with your hands stretched out like this and your head on the canvas. You're out, bruv. You're fucking out. No matter if you recover like that, you're out. And he recovered like that, but he was out. It's better for guys like Big Dan to jump in like he did, stop the fight, than to continue this fight. For what reason? You know what I mean? For what reason would you continue that fight? He was clearly out. He's not going to recover. And what's Kevin going to do? Land 2-3 more shots that is actually going to put him starched out cold when he basically was already out? No. Great reffing by Big Dan. And yeah, Santiago, I would understand from Ponzinibbio's aspect. A lot of these fighters are going to be like that, but no. Rob Font, the underdog, man, surprising underdog, beat Adrian Yanez by knockout in a beautiful fashion, man. That was nasty. That was a clean shot. First round. I didn't expect first round, but at the same time, if one of these guys was going to go out, it makes sense that it was the first round. Adrian Yanez has beautiful boxing. Let me get that out of the way first. His boxing looked phenomenal. He was piecing Rob Font up in the first, in like the first minute, 30 seconds of the first round. He was piecing him up. He was landing quick. He was landing clean. And Rob noticed right then. He's like, all right, I got to make this a dirty fight. I got to get inside. I got to make this a dirty fight. And he did. He caught him with some beautiful, clean shots. And I had a feeling that it was going to be Rob Font coming out the victor with this one. And I fuck with Adrian Yanez, and I want to see him keep going to the next level because he's a beast. But I just had a feeling Rob Font was going to take this one, and he did. He caught him with a clean right hand. and finish the fight. So shout out to Rob Font. Good win for him. Puts him right back in talks in the top 5. So interesting fights up there. He's lost to Cheeto, but maybe him and Piotr Jan would be interesting. He said he wanted to introduce Davidson Figueiredo to the division, so that could be a good fight as well. I'd be interested in that. Moving on, you got the co-main event. Gilbert Burns. What did I call this in the last episode? The Big Dog Breakdown. This is just the review, but this is the co-main and the main event, man. The two most important fights, and they to me the co-main was alright. Jorge Masvidal didn't deliver. In my personal opinion, Jorge Masvidal hasn't been able to deliver since his first loss against Usman. Honestly, people think it was the knockout or the loss against Colby. I think he hasn't been able to deliver since the first loss against Usman. He came in short notice. He thought he was. I guarantee you, he thought he was going to run right through Usman. Realized he couldn't. After he did, started thinking like shit. Got the rematch. Got knocked out. Soul was completely snatched at that point. And I fuck with Gamebred, man. And he's gotten that nickname through the years of wars, and people are like, oh, he's just not as good. He's not as good as we thought he was. And it's like, it's not about being as good as you think he is. Just because he hasn't won a championship or doesn't have the best record doesn't mean he's not good. Jorge has built himself in a phenomenal way, bro, and fought 50-something fights. There's not a lot of fighters in today's day that will fight 50-something fights in their career. So you got to give the man props for it. But he's put on great fights going through his career. Yeah, you see his 2019 spurt, and it was amazing, man. He looked phenomenal. He had a great year. He knocked out Darren Till, had the 5-second knockout over Ben Askren, had the Nate Diaz fight. You know, that was an interesting fight. The BMF title thing, he basically created their own belt. Interesting rise quick in 2019, and it all came falling down. But at the same time, if you have watched Jorge Masvidal fights in the past, you know that his nickname is exactly what he was. He was Gamebred. He went in there and he fought. He fought no matter what the style of the guy was. He came at him. He was trying to take his head off. And I always say, for people that say that he was like overrated or something like that, go see why he was such an exciting fighter before the 2019 thing. A lot of people weren't hip to him before 2019. Go back and watch some of his fights. Yeah, there's losses, but there's some very exciting fights in there. So I suggest going back. One of my favorite ones to watch is Masvidal versus Cerrone. That's a fantastic fight. Fantastic fight. And it's crazy. Two guys that are now retired, right? Jorge Masvidal put his gloves down. Gilbert Burns got the decision over him on Saturday night. Gilbert did more. Gilbert landed more. Gilbert wrestled more. Gilbert did everything he needed to win that fight. And Jorge Masvidal hung the gloves up for the last time. And respectfully so. Like I said, 50-something fights. He deserves a good retirement. He's made some good money. So let him kick back and chill now. But let's talk Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns looked like a beast. So what's next for Gilbert? In my personal opinion, right, I think they're going to be doing Belal versus Kamaru Usman. You do Belal versus Kamaru Usman, right? Obviously, you're going to give Colby Gilbert. Whoever wins between Usman and Belal. Well, I guess if Belal wins, you have Belal fight Leon. If Usman wins, Usman versus Gilbert for the number one. Right? I don't know. That's tough call because you got a former champion in there. But I want to see Gilbert Burns either get a title shot, maybe be the backup for Colby versus Leon, or one more fight. I said in the last podcast, if he got a clean cut fucking like finish, a nasty finish, you could run him in that title picture. But after a decision over Jorge, I don't see him getting a title shot over. I don't see him skipping Colby. Not in the way that the UFC works. He's not skipping Colby. So, but good win by Gilbert Burns. He got the decision win over Gamebred, and Gamebred retires. So shout out to Jorge Masvidal. Good career, bruv. Good career. It was enjoyable while it lasted, my friend. So on to the main event. Israel Adesanya goes up against Alex Pereira, and he finally gets it done. After 3 tries, He comes up in the fourth attempt and gets it done. And yes, I say 3 tries, 2 in kickboxing. He lost to Alex and then gets knocked out by Alex and finally sleeps Alex, hits him with the crossbows, dances and falls asleep in front of his kid. And Israel Adesanya is your new middleweight champion. Now, yeah, I'm not the happiest about it. I would have much rather have seen Alex come out on top. And that's not me being an Izzy hater, because if you go back, I've been a fan of Izzy since the jump. I've been rocking with Izzy since the jump in the UFC. But that fresh blood, that fresh style, that scary presence of Alex Pereira is, to me, exactly what the middleweight division needed. And not to say that it's done with, but looks like Alex will end up getting pushed up to 205. He's not going to go up, he's going to get pushed up to 205, and he's going to fight up there. And Israel Adesanya is just going to take over and be the king of the middleweight division and stay that way. But Alex Pereira is kind of getting the short end of the stick. He's not going to get no rematch. They built him up as this scary king that came and chased down Israel Adesanya, ended up beating him. They ran with that. They used it as much as they possibly can. He loses, they're going to kick him to 205. And who knows, they'll probably give him a real shit matchup. They probably will not give him the matchups that people want to see. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Either way, Izzy got it done. He finally got it done. Exacts his revenge against his biggest rival yet to date. And probably felt amazing. You see, he took all of his emotion with the celebration. Going up to the child was pretty childish, but that makes sense. We are talking Israel Adesanya. But he got it done, bro. And he looked good, but Alex was winning the fight. Alex was winning the fight. He was landing good shots. When he put Izzy up against the cage, I really did think he hurt Izzy. I think Izzy tricked a lot of us. If he was playing possum like he said, I think he tricked a lot of us. And he threw that overhand right and slept him. The problem too is he threw that overhand right. Alex got hit with the overhand right, came back, and then got clipped up again. Instead of retreating in any way, he got hit, came back, got clipped, and slept. So, who knows what's next for either one of them. But either way, it was an enjoyable night of fights. I'm not too mad at the outcome. You know, I didn't want to see Izzy as champ again. No hate to Izzy. I just wanted to see Alex shake up the division a little bit. But who knows? Maybe this is exactly what the division needs. I guess we'll just wait and see. We'll see when the next matchup for Israel Adesanya comes out. We'll see what happens with Alex Pereira. We'll see what happens with the welterweight division with Gilbert Burns and all the championship BS with that. It's all wild. You never know. Rankings mean absolute dick now, and title shots are not earned. They're pretty much given depending on position. You never know. So who knows? But either way, I appreciate you for checking into this video, watching it, going through again. You already know I got more stuff to come out. I'm going to be doing a quick video of all the knockouts that I saw this weekend, a couple boxing knockouts, the UFC knockouts, and we're going to highlight them because that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start going through some of the knockouts because that's the shit I like too. So I appreciate you for listening and watching this video. You already know what to do, that YouTube-like stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. Go watch some of the old stuff, and I appreciate it. I'll catch you later. I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.